is a rusted heat vent or a missing crawl space door, they will red tag the building, fine you thousands of dollars, and force you to spend thousands of dollars for a building permit to make the repairs, and require that the landlord get hotel rooms for the tenants until the repairs are made. Even more shocking, the city of Philadelphia is now requiring that any resident who runs an internet blog pay a $300 business privilege license fee. One blogger in Philadelphia, Marilyn Bess, recently received a letter from the city demanding that she pay the $300 business privilege license fee to run her Miss Philly organic blog. Miss Bess is currently unemployed, and this personal blog of hers only earns about $50 per year in income. A countless number of cities and municipalities across the country are now cracking down on garage sales. Many towns now require that you pay for a garage sale permit. Some towns even require you to pay an additional fee for a permit to place each garage sale sign. The federal government even recently passed a new law making it a crime to sell recalled products at a garage sale.
Now, the Brewshians were hoping to clear out some clutter and make some much-needed cash this summer. What they don't know is they could be breaking a federal law right now, and this garage sale could potentially end up costing them $15 million. The 2008 Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act was passed to keep dangerous toys from entering the U.S. Now the government says it applies to the sale of used goods, even those at garage sales. Sell recalled items, and you could be fined at up to $100,000 each, like this pack and play. They could theoretically go under the playpen and get their neck stuck here in this bar. So any pack and play that doesn't have that warning label on it is recalled until they can add that warning label.
We're shocked. We actually returned another one to get this one because this one was like the best one on the market.
I own this same exact product, not knowing that at home, the exact same color and everything.
How do you expect someone just to come in and know? I mean, like I said, I own this piece myself.
Not knowing about recalls won't excuse resellers from penalties, so the CPSC has a 24-page handbook they say makes it easy for them to cross-check their items.
The government is trying to eliminate garage sales altogether so that we can increase our trade deficit by purchasing new products we can't afford from Walmart that were imported from China. In Long Island, some towns are banning garage sales because they attract illegal immigrants who they claim drive down home prices by bringing noise, crime, and clutter to their once peaceful communities. Police today can arrest and detain American citizens who are caught driving without a license, but they have no power to check the status of an illegal immigrant. Americans are becoming increasingly frustrated with impoverished immigrants that are barely living above subsistence levels because we are being forced to subsidize their standard of living in America. One NIA member recently saw a $20 monthly increase in their cable television bill specifically for the addition of new mandated Spanish channels.
Ese hombre es usted, Juan.
We cannot support them. We don't have the economy. And anybody that believes that they do, invite them over to your house to share your meals every day. Take more money out of your pocket and your family's mouths and give it to them. Everyone loves to be altruistic, but when it comes at a cost where you can't afford it, I'm not going to do it.
These illegal immigrants come to the U.S. expecting everything, when our country doesn't even have any resources left to take care of its own citizens.
The economy's in decline. We don't have the jobs. We have to create 125,000 jobs a month just to stay equal for population growth and new people coming into the workforce. We cannot support people that don't belong here when we can't support our own.
Unfortunately, getting rid of illegal immigrants will not solve any of America's fiscal problems. The illegal immigrant issue is mainly being used by the mainstream media as a distraction from the real economic issues. In fact, the underlying fundamentals of our economy are so unsound that we are receiving countless reports from NIA members who know illegal immigrants that are choosing to return to their country of origin.
I came here 8 months ago. I cannot find work. I can't earn money. I want to return to my country.
Although the federal government says they are making it their top priority to deport illegal immigrants, the truth is they are actually making it a lot tougher for them to leave the country. Instead of ushering illegal immigrants out of the U.S. at the border, the government is wasting money we don't have to process and then formally remove illegal immigrants who wish to leave the country. This has the unintended consequence of encouraging illegal immigrants to stay in this country, because if they left formally and then came back in the future, they risk being prosecuted criminally. Many NIA members who have dual citizenship with other countries are already acting now to get out of harm's way before U.S. hyperinflation and the collapse of society. NIA believes that there are now far greater opportunities to live a happy and successful life in Mexico rather than the U.S. We are constantly hearing from many Mexicans who are enjoying comfortable lives in Mexico with an income as low as $1,500 per month.
Among the draws, proximity to the US, lower taxes and overall living costs that are 30 to 40% cheaper. Here in Southern California, you can expect to pay in the millions for a place on the beach, but in Mexico, a similar piece of property in a gated community starts in the mid-300s.
Most Mexicans we know have a car and a house in Mexico that they have paid cash for with no debt. Not only is the cost of living in Mexico a lot lower than the U.S., but there are now growing employment opportunities in Mexico due to the booming gold and silver mining industry. The only Americans who will be able to survive and thrive in the U.S. will be those who immediately take their wealth and use it to purchase gold and silver. Americans who stop transacting in U.S. dollars and move their wealth to precious metals are effectively opting out of the Federal Reserve's criminal enterprise. NIA is now seeing signs that the U.S. government is fearful of Americans abandoning the U.S. dollar. The U.S. debt Ponzi scheme is about to be exposed, and in a last-ditch effort to keep the dollar bubble propped up, the U.S. government is beginning to take steps to force Americans to stay in the dollar. Hidden inside the recently passed Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act was a new law that had nothing to do with healthcare. Section 9006 of the healthcare bill requires that beginning January 1st, 2012, all businesses and self-employed individuals must report every purchase of goods and services over $600. This will mean that every time a company sells a 1-ounce gold coin or even a half-an-ounce gold coin, they will have to fill out a 1099 form and file it with the IRS. NIA believes that this new law is definitely one of the top signs that a U.S. societal collapse is right around the corner. Imagine the thousands of non-productive IRS employees that will have to be hired when this law goes into effect. Every precious metal dealer in the U.S. will have to hire more employees to comply with this unnecessary regulation, which means you will likely pay a higher premium to purchase gold and silver. In the years ahead, as we begin to see a massive outbreak of price inflation, $600 might not even be enough to purchase a loaf of bread. Imagine businesses being forced to file 1099s every time you buy food. In another disheartening sign of what could soon occur on a nationwide basis, the city of Philadelphia is now proposing a new law that will require the operators of pawn shops and precious metal businesses to snap a digital photo of each customer and to obtain both an electronic imprint of the client's left thumb and a copy of the client's state-issued photo ID. This info, along with pictures and descriptions of the item purchased, will be entered into their police department's major crimes unit database. Once again, the government is using the concern of stolen property and money laundering by drug dealers to infringe on the privacy of honest Americans. NIA is also hearing reports from members across the country who recycle water bottles and soda cans at local recycling plants. Brand new rules now require them to give their ID to the recycling plant workers who enter their personal information into a computer database, including the exact items that were recycled before they pay them for their goods. They must also sign papers that allow the recycling plant to give this information to the local police and any other law enforcement authorities. The government is taking every step possible to put every American citizen under a microscope and closely track every single thing we do and every transaction we make. In Indiana, there is now a state law that no matter how old you look, you must provide and have your ID scanned to buy alcohol. NIA has confirmed that 2 separate and unrelated men in Indiana, after buying alcohol more than once at the same location, were sent emails inquiring about if they need help overcoming alcoholism. Indiana is also beginning to scan IDs for cigarettes. Before long, it's possible that the new healthcare bill will bankrupt all private health insurance providers, and all Americans will be completely dependent on the government for healthcare. Imagine if when the time comes, the government knows you smoke 1.2 packs of cigarettes per day and they decide to deny you coverage for smoking-related diseases. NIA believes that what's going on in Indiana is just a test run for new federal regulations that will require a national ID to be scanned when purchasing any item, regardless of what it is. Have you noticed lately that if you spend cash at the supermarket, the cashier will look at you like you're crazy? Even businesses that were once considered strictly cash businesses are now discouraging the use of cash and logging every cash transaction. One NIA member recently went to a strip club and handed a $20 bill to a dancer. She refused to take it and told him that he would have to take it to the manager so that he could log it in a book for accounting purposes. Americans today have become dependent on unemployment checks, food stamps, and other government handouts that have not only guaranteed that we will soon experience hyperinflation, but they have the unintended consequence of making any future economic recovery absolutely impossible. Many Americans are no longer motivated to find work and become productive members of society. Some Americans are outright abusing the system that hard-working, productive Americans are forced to support. One NIA member owns the most popular bakery in the Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C. A customer recently entered his store and asked for them to produce a custom-made birthday cake that looks exactly like her very high-end designer handbag. After saying that producing the cake would be no problem and that the price would be $150, the customer said that she would like to place the order and asked if the bakery would accept food stamps as payment. Instead of working as hard as possible to live the best lives as possible, most Americans are satisfied with their unemployment checks and food stamps. They spend their time worrying about the personal lives of others by watching reality shows, reading TMZ, and gossiping about their favorite musicians and sports heroes. This is reminiscent of how during the U.S. Great Depression, Americans became obsessed with going to the movies as it offered them a chance to escape the heat, the cold, and the loneliness of their bleak personal lives. With America's obsession with Hollywood now reaching epidemic proportions, it's a sure sign that a societal collapse will soon occur. NIA has direct knowledge of many Americans who are living in Section 8 housing while receiving unemployment checks and food stamps, but are making absolutely no attempt to find a job. Some of them have had offers to work for $15 to $20 per hour, but they turn these employment opportunities down out of fear that they may lose their housing, food, and other entitlements. The 40-year-old